Good evening. My name is Briam Thomas. I'm here on behalf of the Hillsborough County Victim Assistance Program. And I have to give a disclaimer. I work for the City of Tampa Police Department. I've been there for a few years. But my statements aren't necessarily the opinions of the City of Tampa or the Police Department. However, I do want to tell you a little bit from my law enforcement perspective, having worked with the members of the Victims Assistance Program between 2002 and 2008 as a homicide detective, and we see a lot of horrendous crimes, horrific things. I don't have any news clippings in front of me right now, but so I'm certain that you could probably pull something to mind just to consider some of the rotten things going on out there in our society. Frankly, where the detectives' responsibility is to really try to work to solve these crimes, I've found that personally the individuals that work in the Victim Assistance Program have been instrumental and paramount in really taking care of the victims, family members of the victims, and other individuals that need certain types of care, attention, whether it's psychological, emotional, working through the criminal justice system, getting into the court system, etc. And the Victims Assistance Program, their individuals have been just phenomenal in their work and their efforts in helping not only law enforcement, I think, get their job done, but also these other individuals that unfortunately have become the recipients of something just again horrific and terrible, and they've helped in such tremendous ways to get individuals back into an area where they can kind of deal with the crime, the prosecution phase, and kind of get along to that next section. I did want to mention that basically as a resident of Hillsborough County, again, in the event that something were to happen to me or to someone in my family, or I needed the assistance of these folks, that they would be there to help. No,
thank you, Ms. Thomas.
Godwin, and I live in Plant City. I also work for the state attorney's office, but my opinions and my experiences are my own. It's been almost 10 years since I got a letter from a wonderful lady named Nancy Lopez. She was in charge of the Victim Assistance Program, and I was a victim. Now I work in a job that requires me to get information from the victims assistance people in order to help attorneys make their cases. So I'm speaking from the heart to let you know it is a tremendously important program. When I was the victim of violence and I was in so much fear, I needed somebody to walk me through every step. I needed somebody to tell me how to file an injunction. I needed someone to tell me exactly the next step to take. And without the Victims Assistance Program, I wouldn't have that. I was able to get on with my life. I am so glad. My children are doing fine. We're all doing great. And I'm just so grateful for these wonderful men and women who are so well trained and so professional. And almost every day, I am looking at their work now, and I'm referring people to them, saying, you can call these people. They will help you. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ms. Godwin. Jane.
Carolyn's still going to like to yield to Joe Carol Bird so that she would have an opportunity to speak tonight on behalf of Victim Assistance.
My name is Joe Carol Bird. I'm here to speak tonight on behalf of the Victim Assistance Program. I'm also speaking here as a former crime victim before there was a program. Okay. In 1985, my husband and I were robbed, and in the process, he was killed. My children and I had to navigate the criminal justice system alone. There wasn't anyone there to explain what would be happening, why certain decisions were made, when court dates were scheduled. I was at a loss, and I didn't have a voice. The prosecutors simply didn't have the time or the inclination to deal with me or what I was going through. I felt victimized over and over again by a system that didn't know how or care to deal with the victim, or in my case, as the next kin. For too long, victims have not had a voice, but now they do through the mandated Victim Assistance Program. Counselors and advocates work alongside the state attorney's office and law enforcement. Counselors and advocates are trained to provide the information needed and the guidance and crisis intervention that victims need so desperately. Now victims are part of the criminal justice system. They're not just a name on someone's witness list. Unless you've walked in a victim's shoes, or that of the next of kin, you have no idea what it's like. Everyone thinks that it's not going to happen to them. It happens to the other person. But in reality, it happens to far too many people. Please do not cut this program.
Thank you, ma'am.
Send this back to the dark ages. Thank you so much.
Appreciate your comments. That concludes the